Pilai Poonswad is a well-known figure in Thailand. For more than 30 years, she has dedicated her life to the protection of the hornbill, the emblematic bird of the Thai forests.
My hornbill study began in 1978. Inspiration was the bird. I saw the great hornbill at the nest. And then about 8 o'clock in the morning, the male came and right to the nest. So from that on, I was very impressed.
After her first encounter with this intriguing bird, the biologist decided to create a foundation to study, treat, and protect hornbills in Thailand's 3 largest national parks. Today, she has earned the affectionate nickname, the grandmother of the hornbills. Of the 54 kinds of hornbills found on Earth, Thailand is home to 13. Right from the beginning of the Hornbill Project, Pilai Poonswad was concerned about the precarious situation of these birds, threatened by logging and poaching. Through patience and determination, Pilai has set up a network of partners who work alongside her to protect the hornbills and their habitat.
I had 2 phases of approach, First action is, or immediate action is how to stop poaching. And my goal is to increase the hornbill population. We have to encourage, but to educate and also do the campaign and also create the awareness of how important of the forest.
Accompanied by her research assistants, Pilai makes regular visits to the Budo Sungai Padi National Park in the south of Thailand, which has been crawling with guerrillas for many years. The armed conflict around the jungle does not make Pilai's task any easier, especially when she goes up into the mountains to observe the behavior of hornbills during their breeding period. The hornbill lives mainly in Southeast Asia, India, and Africa. To reproduce, it needs virgin forests where it can find a cavity large enough to make its nest among the huge trees.
After pairing, and then the pair will seek for nest hole when breeding season comes. They have courtship feeding. What fascinating me is the behavior. Yeah, the behavior that they, seal the nest, and the way it's a kind of ritual.
When she is ready to lay, the female walls herself up inside the nest to prevent predators such as monkeys, snakes, or monitor lizards from attacking her eggs. She leaves only a small opening through which the male regurgitates food to feed her and her chicks.
A male may have a play role, in helping her by provide some material like bark, like earth, the mud, depend on species. And it takes about 3 to 7 days normally.
After more than an hour's walk up a steep track, Pilai arrives at the site where the most imposing Asiatic hornbill, the great hornbill, builds its nests. Endowed with a voluminous hollow casque which acts as a sound box to amplify its calls, the bird can grow to heights of up to 1 meter.
When the nests are not too far away, like this one, we usually work at about 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning and remain at our posts until 4 p.m. Then we go home. We do that every day.
In oppressive humidity and temperatures of 35 degrees Celsius, the team gets to work constructing the blind that will serve as an observation post. Besides her research assistants, Pilai is accompanied by villagers, most of whom are former poachers. They are particularly useful when the time comes to discover new nests. In spring, they are the only ones who carry out examination of nests and make sure they are in a fit state to welcome the female.
The poacher, I use them as a guide and train them, told them how to keep the record and, to observe. And so they participated in my project bit by bit, Then from there, they developed a kind of relationship between them and the hornbill that they watch. They would concern about the safety of that hornbill that they watch.
Thailand isn't the only country where hornbills are suffering the effects of human activities. In Singapore, just a 1-hour flight from southern Thailand, the hornbill is practically extinct. Thanks to a partnership with certain zoological gardens of Thailand, Mark Cremades, an expert in animal reproduction, is working on reintroducing the hornbill into protected areas in Singapore's national parks.
Les calaos ont disparu fin du 19e siècle.
Hornbills disappeared in the late 19th century, around 1890. But the first couple to breed again in Singapore did so on a satellite island, not even on Singapore main island. This was in 1994, 100 years later. The natural environment has completely disappeared aside from a few patches of forest, which are usually national parks or protected forests. So there was a real sense of urgency. Having had experience of working in the wilderness, I thought we had to find new avenues of investigation. You can't stop human progress. It's impossible. So the issue is how to bring back forest animals that need a dense forest, how to get them back on an island that has one of the densest human populations in the world.
The morning is the best time to observe hornbills. The male has rested during the night, and he's busy in the morning, looking for food. He keeps going back and forth, again and again, looking for various types of food, if he has the energy.
The hornbill feeds mostly on fruit, its favorite food being figs, which represents 73% of its diet. But if the opportunity arises, it will also capture insects, small reptiles, birds, and rodents.
It has an important role in disperse the seed, also regenerate the forest, because hornbill feed on fruit and regurgitate bit by bit wherever they perch. So that way it's very good to distribute or disperse the seed. So hornbill play a very important role in keeping the forest or maintain the diversity of plant in the forest.
While hornbills were almost extinct in the early days of the project back in 1994, there are now around 200 nests and more than 500 birds in the Rondot Park. Unfortunately, trees suitable for hosting new mating couples are becoming increasingly rare. That is even more the case in Singapore, where the forest is almost non-existent. So how can the problem be overcome in such a built-up environment?
The hornbill needs a large cavity to build its nest in. According to the Singapore authorities, a tree with a large hole in it is dangerous and likely to fall on account of the preponderance of lightning, wind, and storms. So it wasn't long before they said, look, we want to support this population, but it is difficult for us to keep these trees with big holes. They're a danger to people. Can't we think in terms of an artificial solution? We set up our first intelligent nest in the wild for a mating couple whose tree had been cut down. Their nest had been destroyed and burned, so as soon as the mating season came along, they immediately began searching for a cavity, and we gave them a very basic cavity. And they adopted this prefabricated nest in the very first year. So the following year, we thought, well, if you accepted this nest so readily, maybe we'll change it a little.
Of the 25 artificial nests set up in Singapore, 6 are so-called intelligent nests. When designing them, researchers sought to gain a better understanding of how hornbills reproduce. Every nest is equipped with 6 cameras linked up to a control room. This surveillance system records all activity 24 hours a day in and around the nest.
Every family of sensors, including optical sensors, the camera has revealed behavior. The female remains in the nest first alone for 3 months with her eggs and chicks. She replenishes all her main feathers. You can imagine a bird in a hole 30 centimeters wide by 60 or 70 centimeters high for 3 months. There's a lot of stuff. We have scales so that when the male brings food to the nest, we can measure his weight every day, every time he lands. We also know the weight of the food he passes on. And thanks to the cameras, we can identify the foods. So all this helps us better define the animal's needs and their restrictions in order to intensify our conservation efforts.
In Thailand a few years ago, Pilai and her partners set up artificial nests in Rondot Park, where the species of tree most sought after by hornbills is still targeted by illegal loggers.
A lot of large trees gone, so that's why here we consider to have artificial nests. But here also very difficult to repair because the nest trees are very high and, to access.
Our job is finished for today. The hornbill has devoted itself to its usual occupations, as it does every day. There's no change, nothing abnormal.
During the period of hornbill nesting, Pilai regularly visits the 11 villages taking part in the project to meet the villagers. Thanks to private donations collected by the foundation and the sponsorship of hornbills by Thai families, Pilai has hired more than 50 villagers since the project started to monitor nests. Most are former poachers who can now meet the needs of their families while protecting the natural environment.
Each village, each group, will report it. How many nests that they are, under their responsibility or under their watching, they're checking. And then how many nests still, carry on for breeding, or how many nests fail already, and what are the problem, and how to solve that problem for the, next breeding season.
As well as this action with the villagers, Pilai and Preda give workshops to school children to raise awareness of the beauty and also the fragility of these birds.
แล้วต้นไม้หรือที่หนูวาดต้นอะไรต้นตะเคียนเห็นไหมต้นตะเคียนนะเป็นต้นรังที่สำคัญนะแล้วนี่นกอะไรหรอเนี่ยนกหัวแรดนะ It nearly gone from Thailand. I mean from Thailand. I will pay attention to the national status, conservation status of the species because it's our animal, right? So like to conserve. แล้วก็เด็กๆพวกนี้จะนะเป็นตัวแทนพี่ปิดาให้มาต่อไปในอนาคตนะโตขึ้นน่ะใช่ป่ะเนาะได้ไหมสอนต่อไปลูกสอนรุ่นน้องต่อใช่ไหม
In order to observe hornbills in their natural environment, Pilai must often travel large distances in search of certain rarer species. As such, she has never had an opportunity to see a black hornbill in the wild. However, in the region of Sungai, some villagers claim to have seen the mysterious bird.